Cares, Kansas City's nonprofit voice. We're telling the stories of Kansas City nonprofits and the people behind them. Casey Cares is the intersection of the nonprofit and profit communities, making Kansas City a better place to live, work, and play. I'm Ruth Baum-Biggus. This Casey Cares segment is brought to you by the Ewing Marion Kauffman Foundation, www.kauffman.org. There are many people living in poverty in our country, and for some, it's been generational. For children living in urban settings and facing poverty, it has a tremendous impact on their future if the cycle isn't broken. Statistics indicate kids in poverty are more likely to drop out of school, which then leads to higher rates of unemployment and criminal activity. However, research indicates that urban kids, when they have a relationship with an adult, can make change happen in their own lives. That's what Elevate Metro KC is all about. Now approaching its third year in Kansas City, Elevate Metro KC is seeing positive things happen one kid at a time. And joining us to share all the things going on is Executive Director Chris Jaley. Chris, thanks for coming on.
Well, thanks for having me. Look forward to our conversation.
Well, we do need to kind of share with our folks how we met, because that's what's so fun, I think, in many ways about this webcast is how random, we find out about great people and great organizations. I was having coffee in Homer's in Overland Park with a friend of mine who actually used to do a lot of reporting on nonprofits. And the two of you have been friends, and I can't remember exactly your connection. So I got to learn just a little bit about Elevate. All right, Elevate Metro KC. For some, that might sound like, are we building buildings? What are we doing here?
That's right. Well, as you said, talking about kids that through no fault of their own are stuck in very challenging situations, that we believe that with enough support, primarily through trustworthy adult supportive relationships, that they can achieve their dreams and create a life of success. But just like all of us, nobody gets there without lots of support.
Now, this is an organization that did not start in Kansas City. Can you share a little bit of the background, how this all came together?
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, and I've been in the field of youth development and high poverty neighborhoods for a long time, and that's actually one of the main reasons why I got drawn in was because of that longevity. So the concept started 40 years ago in Denver, and there just were a group of adults that were just blown away by the challenges that kids were facing. And thankfully, they've stayed at it for 40 years in Denver and have really developed a concept that for folks like us, when we come online, they've already packaged the curriculum that we teach in the schools and have it set up to be meeting all the different standards for the different states, and have worked out a lot of the relationship nuances of how to develop strong mentoring relationships. So then when we come online, we get trained by our national staff so that our staff can hit the ground running.
There are a number of programs and initiatives, et cetera, that are out there trying to knock at this. In a way, it's a poverty pandemic. It's been going on for such a long, long time.
Yes.
What's unique about Elevate Metro that you all think you're going to really be able to make that difference?
Yes. Yeah, that's right. You know what? For me, it's the in-school and out-of-school combination. There's only one other organization that I can think of that has that level of access to build relationships with the students and to really come alongside them with that relationship support. So the in-school, out-of-school access. So our classes that we teach are accredited. We're in the school building throughout the day, working not just with the students in our class, but working with the school administrators to support students. But then we also earmark a good chunk of our staff time to do what we call developmental mentoring, which is very focused relationship support for kids to help them to build the skills they need, not just to survive, but then to thrive as they graduate high school. And just to elaborate on that a little bit, again, I have a background in community development, and you get faced with some really challenging limitations in the youth development field, because if you're doing after school work, you get students a couple hours a day, a couple of days a week. And it's really effective within that time. There's a lot of good work happening, but you just need tons and tons of time to be able to really support the students But you're just limited by that. And then it tends to be that the after school space is well attended by the younger kids. But as the teenagers hit, then they tend to, vote with their feet. And they, of course, like all of us, want to get out and do other things after school. And so there's a limitation usually on that space. And then during the school day, teachers and support and staff within the schools obviously have a full-time job to be able to teach their content curriculum and just keep the school running. And so it's really, really unique to be able to have, again, the ability to complement and come alongside the school, as well as to come alongside and connect students to different after-school programs. But it takes that connector to be able to make both sides of it really run well. And that was the uniqueness of that opportunity to build in the kids is what drew me.
Help me understand how it really works.
Yeah.
For example, I believe you started in one school district and you flipped, and we'll talk about that, but let's focus on where you were. How does it work?
Yeah. So real simple, we teach and we mentor. And so we come alongside a school district. We only want to be in a school district that has a concentration of poverty. So 70% and higher free and reduced lunch student population. And then we teach an accredited class that's going to focus on character and essential skill building. And it's a very engaging style of teaching. So we team teach. We have 3 full-time teacher mentors. They're salaried just much like a teacher. And it would be taking like any other elective class. The students sign up to take an Elevate class. And they can take a class every year of high school, 9th through 12th grade. And then they get a grade just like any other class. So that's the teaching side of it. The character and the essential skills, we've distilled down to 13 skills that are really, really important to be able to just to have good character throughout life, but then also to be effective in the workforce. And so things like compassion, for example, but then also just having the advanced perspective and delayed gratification. So having something that you want to achieve, but realizing that you've got to delay the immediate gratification to be able to work daily to chip away at that goal. And so we have curriculum that really engages the students around a variety of those different types of skills. So that's the teaching side. And then we don't just care about how students do in our classes. One of the ways that we are measured, we have 4 outcomes domains that we report up to our national office. And we have a third-party evaluator that gives us those reports, but is how well students are doing in staying on track to graduate. Not just in our class, but then we care, because we know it's important for student success, how they're doing in their English class or how they're doing in their math class. And we try and really break it down for the students into very simple steps. Obviously, attendance, you can't do well if you don't show up. Behavior, so we call it the ABCs. So attendance, behavior. It's really hard to do well in school or in that particular class if your behavior isn't solid. And then assignment completion. And we just really try and come alongside them and make sure that they're doing well in those other classes. So we track all that with the student. And then the after school time is where our developmental mentoring program comes along. And so we have a variety of different ways that we invest in the kids. We have vans that have been donated to us with the funding to go buy passenger vans that we transport students around, and we do a variety of different opportunities for them. So, for example, a couple of weeks ago, we went out to Ironwoods, and they have in Kansas, and they have a tower, and the students can climb that, and I don't know, 40 or 50 feet high. And it was amazing to see the students. There was this one young woman who kept going. She kept trying, and she'd get up 10, 15 feet. And then, you're belayed in, you have a rappelling rope, and she'd stop and fall down, but she kept going. And I asked her, she finally made it to the top. And of course she was ecstatic to be on the top. And I asked her, what was it that allowed her to make it? And she said, you know what, internally, I kept saying, I can't over and over again when she'd reach a certain point. But then she said, I realized that I got to stop saying that. I need to start saying inside of myself, I can. And then she made it to the top. Well, what a great life lesson that she can then carry with her into other parts of her life. So we'll do opportunities like that, but we also take them to job interviews and coach them on how to go through that process. And we did a Black-owned business tour with some students so that they could meet entrepreneurs and learn about their stories and about their business, and just whatever it takes for them to expand their horizons and their skill sets to be able to succeed. So teach during the day, mentor during the after school space, but very focused. We are focused on equipping them so that they build their own muscles so that they succeed.
How very cool and how really rewarding. Thank you for sharing that story about her. I think I would have quit only out of fear of being how high right up. So wow, how cool. Now, are the kids required to do the after school? Can they
Great question.
Choose?
No, absolutely not. No, we offer it. They're obviously required. If they sign up for the class, then we have expectations for the class, such as grades and attendance and that kind of thing. But then the after school time is purely if they choose. I've been working with students in this environment for a long, long time, but I was surprised at how quickly they were able to assess that, hey, these teacher mentors really sincerely care about me and want to invest in me during the after school space. And they really opened up and asked for that support really early. So they sign up for different opportunities. It's their choice. But most of them choose to take advantage, and we have fun too. I mean, we took them to we went roller skating last week, and so we mix it up and have lots of fun.
So what happens during the summer months when you're quote unquote not in school?
That's right. Well, that's right. Yeah. So from our end, as we listen to we work with younger students, but we primarily work with those teenagers, and as we've listened to them, what they wanted were two things. They want to be able to have work, they want to have gainful employment, and they want to have a positive environment to be around their peers. And so what we do, again, is work with them during the school year to make sure that they've got good jobs lined up for the summer. And then we'll take a piece of that time and then just invest in them during the day with their peers in a positive environment. And so a couple of days a week, we just provide different mentoring opportunities. Like I mentioned, going to that climbing course, or this Friday, they're going to a swimming, like an outdoor water park and that kind of deal. And then we also did, we're, as you referenced, we are flipping into a new school district. So we'll be at Center School District, and we did a summer enrichment class in conjunction with summer school. And that was a really great way to get introduced to the students. And so we try and we want to integrate well with their with what they see to be important. So again, with their work and with their peers and summer school and that kind of thing. And we really see ourselves as really good complements to what other really devoted, capable people are already doing. So we come alongside. We don't take over summer school. We come alongside and help to make those students have a better experience.
So you'll be in Center School District. Will you be in only one school, or can you split?
Great question. Yeah, no. So the way that we work is that we offer, again, those high school classes, 9th through 12th grade. But part of the youth development is that we want to teach the students, even at that teenage level, to be able to really serve other people. And that's, again, one of the ways that we're measured is how well do we instill that value of community service. And so 2 of our high school classes actually take those high schoolers over to an elementary school. So we'll be at Center Elementary School, and they teach those same character and essential skills to those 4th and 5th graders. So you can actually get involved with Elevate starting in 4th grade. So Center Elementary. And then second semester, we will hire a 4th teacher mentor that will focus on the middle school students. So then we'll be at Center Middle, and then, of course, the high school. So we want to have what we call a pipeline, 4th grade to 12th grade, so that if the students choose, they can have a long run of relationship building. And our national outcomes show that the longer a student chooses to be a part of Elevate, then the better their outcomes turn out to be. So we want to build that long-term relationship with them.
I love that it's really concentrated. How so many funders sometimes look for how many thousands of kids have we impacted or whatever. And yet you're focused more smaller scale in terms of number of students. So
that's right.
How do you play that out when you're talking to the external folks that support what you do?
Very important. Yeah, and as a program designer or a leader of an organization, that is a tension that you're constantly balancing. Is the ROI, from whoever is funding the program, return on investment. And what we have really, really decided to focus on is that we want to be able to have the right number of students that we can provide enough quality change that makes a difference in their students' lives. And again, we have these 4 domains that we measure, and we want to be able to show a big uptick in each of these 4 areas. And so for us, we will have 75 high school students, and then we'll have about 60 elementary students that we're investing in. And then once we get into the middle school space, we'll have about 75 middle school students. So we feel like there is a scale, but in order to be able to give the students the time that they need, you have to preserve enough staff time per student to be able to have the unplanned crisis show up, because a lot of the kids in high poverty neighborhoods are unfortunately faced with regular crises, whether it's a family moving suddenly, or there's a potential for homelessness, or a dangerous neighbor, or whatever it may be. And we want to be available. Part of our, we would say, success is that we have availability for the students when they feel the need. It's not always when we plan our mentoring activities. So availability is very important.
So you've got the school has bought into it.
That's right.
You're part of, not required course, but, those classes you can choose to do.
That's right.
Do the parents play a role? And if so, what is that?
Yes. Yeah, that's one of the things I love about Elevate, is again, we're a connector and we are a complementer. We come alongside all the great work that other people are doing, obviously, first and foremost, the parents. And it's really a great way to really affirm all the good work that parents are doing. And I'll tell you, one of the ways that we feel that we get to come alongside and support them, and it's simple, but it's phone calls home, not to report negative behavior, but to tell them the different good things that parents or that the students are doing. And we've had a good number of the parents start crying on the phone because they're not used to that phone call. And they're like, wait a minute, are you serious? My son or daughter is doing XYZ and it's a positive. When I hear the phone ring, a lot of times I'm assuming the worst, And so, as you know, a lot of the parents are with students in a high poverty neighborhood. They are working tremendously hard just to keep life going, and they show love by just keeping stability at home enough for the kids to get to school and keep their own life moving. And so just supporting the good work that they're doing. And we also found during COVID, the extra step of really providing relational space for the parents came in handy, because a decent number of the parents were in jobs that got laid off during COVID. And then the stress that goes along with that. And then all of a sudden there's more people in the home and different things like that. And so when we were teaching virtually, we would have virtual mentoring, and we realized that the parents wanted to take advantage of that time as well. And so we just provided extra, virtual time just for parents to get on and talk through whatever's going on, and helping whatever we can do to help the student to stay focused on life after high school, when during that season, especially, it was really hard to have that focus because you're just so focused on today and the craziness that's going on throughout the world. So, so we love that. And we provide different activities for parents can come and celebrate, for example, at the end of the year, the good work their students have done. So
we're chatting with Chris Jaley, Elevate Metro KC. I love that the call home is a positive rather than guess what your kid did today. And I would imagine, as statistics indicate, there seems to be more challenges with kiddos who are living in poverty. So to get that call must be really, really special. Let's talk about your organization. Now, what are the things that you are challenged with operating in Kansas City, and how could the public help you meet those challenges?
Yeah, absolutely. Well, there's a variety of ways. First and foremost, as executive director, I have a budget that we want to be able to really, successfully fulfill every year. And so any connections to potential funding opportunities is always appreciated. We're starting our 4th year in Kansas City. And I've been really thankful for the good, broad community support so far. We have a good mix of individuals, but then also foundations and companies that have supported us. And so really continuing that. Folks that have obviously been in the field for a while know that that first round of funding is always tough because you have to establish yourself and prove that you're worth investing in. But then also what's tough that doesn't get talked about is that second gift. There's a startup gift and an ongoing gift. And we're entering into that phase of, hey, our funder's going to want to keep going with some of the different investments. So any connections there is obviously helpful. But then also connecting us to different developmental opportunities around town is very much appreciated. And so, like I said, going out to this Ironwoods course out in suburban Kansas, who knew that there was this gem of a place? So any connections to opportunities like that, tickets to sporting events or to musical or play type opportunities is great. We had a relationship with the downtown airport, with the Wheeler Airport, and had a chance to have students come and actually get in the cockpit and to hear from not just the pilot, but from different professionals in that field about opportunities for students. And that only happened because somebody like what you're talking about saw the importance of connecting our students to that opportunity. And so anything like that is very much appreciated. Actually, I'll give you an example of one that for us is fresh. You talked about summer. A real hope for us is we would love to give every student, including the younger students that we serve, an opportunity to learn how to swim because we just see the tremendous fear that exists in the students' lives if they hit high school and they haven't learned to swim. And a lot of kids in a high poverty neighborhood, that's their experience. But as obviously from a safety standpoint, you want every kid to be comfortable in the water. So that would just be one example. If there was a way for us to be able to pull that off with a couple of different community partners, that would be a simple example.
Where's the best place for them to look for more info and reach you?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, we try to have a good presence out there in social media land and on the internet. So we have a website that we keep up well, elevatemetrokc.org. If you click on that, you'll see that we are a part of a national program. So we're in almost 20 cities, and you can link off to the other affiliate cities to see that. And then we're on social media such as Instagram and Facebook. Just look up our name, Elevate Metro KC, and you'll find us there. If you want to shoot us an email, then or just go on our website, and you can do that. We send out monthly communications. Most of the year it's through electronic communication, and you'll find some videos that we've tried to spend some time on so that you can see an inside look into our work with the students. So try and give you a good, diverse way to get exposed to what we're doing.
And I skipped right over it, and I shouldn't have. What are those 4 outcomes you're really looking for in the kiddos by the time you've finished with
absolutely.
them?
Yeah, that's great. Yeah, it really shapes how we spend our time. It's not unfocused time when we teach and mentor. But so one is academic achievement. We want to see how well those students are doing, again, not just in our class, but do they finish each year of high school with enough credits to be on track? I'll give you an example of that I love. It just is a big differentiator. We were at Southeast High School and the overall on track to graduate rate, and it went down during COVID, of course, for the students, but it was under 60% as a school, students on track to graduate. But the Elevate students were right around 87%. And so it just shows you that with support, the difference that the students can make. Staying on track. The other one is what we call character. And again, it's just the basic virtues to be a good citizen. I mentioned compassion, but we have a whole list of different things that we measure. And then community service or community engagement. It's really important to us that the kids have that civic mindset. And let's see, what is my 4th one here? Social emotional learning. We think that's undervalued, and it's a little bit of a nebulous term, depending on where you are. But the companies keep reporting back about how, and this is from my time at United Way, just doing different focus groups. But we heard repeatedly from companies that, hey, we have candidates that are coming in wanting to work for us, but they're lacking some of the basic interpersonal skills that are required because so much of the workforce is required around teamwork. You have to do team decision-making or team project building and that kind of thing. And so we spend a lot of time on qualities like grit. How do you stay at something when it doesn't look like you're going to be able to finish? But that's your mind telling you, just like that young woman that learned how to overcome her climbing fears, is you just got to stay at it. And so we spent a lot of time on those type of soft skills, really trying to help the kids to see the importance of those. So grit being an easy one that people talk about a lot these days.
It's really too bad we call them soft skills. It kind of makes it sound like it's weak, or that's the perception when they're really, really important. And boy, did we learn some of that during the pandemic. And how do you do that through a screen?
Right. Well, and I had an educator that said that they like the term essential skills. And that's why we try and use that term. It really is just to be a decent quality adult requires that you have a civic mindset and some of those different skills that are essential. So you're right. I agree with you. So
you're rolling into year 4.
Yeah.
Hit that 10 mark. Where would you like Elevate KC to be?
Absolutely.
Elevate Metro KC.
That's right. Sorry. Yeah. So again, we want to be comprehensive in whatever school system that we're in. And so we want to really have established that pipeline from 4th grade, not just through 12th grade, but a couple years past high school graduation within center. But then we would like to expand into a couple of different high school systems in the city. And there's 13 to 15 high schools that would have enough students at the high school level, but then also have that concentration of free and reduced lunch students that we would fit. And we intentionally chose the name Metro Kansas City so that we in Kansas City obviously cross Kansas and Missouri. And so we would love to be on both sides of the state line and 3 to 5 high schools and all of their feeder schools. And at that point, we'd be serving several thousand students each week.
Wow. It's tough work. It's tough work. What do you like about it? I don't want to hear what you don't like, because we all have things we don't like about what we do. But I'm just, you've worked in the space a long time. What is it about this that you really
absolutely
gets you?
Yeah, I've got 2 things that come to mind right away. Number one is I think the nonprofit sector attracts really amazing people. And like our staff, we have an amazing staff. So our teacher mentors came out of different careers in most cases because they were doing mentoring on their own and then realized, oh my gosh, I have the chance to do this full time. And so just the compassion and the dedication and just the all around just amazingness of the people that we work with is really great. And so to be able to see that, so that's number one. But then number 2, when you see a student make a turn in a really specific area, is amazing. Just to be able to see that. And I'll give you one example. During COVID, there's been a lot of talk about this, but it's about mental health issues at crisis level. And we certainly experienced that with the students we were serving. And there was a young woman that reached out to a teacher mentor that she had built a really trusting relationship with. And she's like, I woke up today and she's like, I didn't know if I was going to read my Bible or if I was going to take a bottle of pills. And it just shows you, and, some of that's just teenage, living in this, disparity of extremes, that's just part of teenage development. But then during COVID, it had a real dangerous component to it. But because she had a place to reach out, had already built a trusting relationship, because you don't know when the crisis is going to hit. But that trust was there. The access to that teacher mentor was there. She knew exactly who to talk to. She had learned the awareness, hey, something's off in me. She didn't do a destructive act. And she hung in there. And you know what? A couple of weeks later, she got a college acceptance letter. And that young woman's in college now. So keeping her stable during a really volatile, vulnerable experience paid off. And now she's on a good track. That type of turn is amazing. And it's worth it through all the challenges that you face.
How wonderful and how great. That just validates what you're doing of having that trusted adult role model. So thank you for all that you're doing. It's Elevate Metro KC, doing great work. Check out the website, elevatemetrokc.org. And thank you, Chris, for being with us.
Thanks for your time.
Thank you for joining us for KC Cares, Kansas City's nonprofit voice. We're produced by Charitable Communications. This KC Cares segment was brought to you by the Ewing Marion Kauffman Foundation, www.kauffman.org. If you'd like to be a guest on KC Cares, visit our website, kccaresonline.org, and you can catch all of our shows there. Spread the love and find us on Facebook and Twitter at KC Cares Radio and on Instagram at KC Cares Online. And tune in on Saturday mornings at 8 a.m. to ESPN 1510 a.m. and 94.5 FM to catch our show. Thank you for joining KC Cares.